8 minutes, how to master the autopilot for the PC-24 in Flight Simulator. Here we go, Captain. Following this playlist, you know how to start the plane, file a flight plan, and manage your onboard computer during flight. Remember, the Pilatus software is the same for PC-12 and PC-24, so this tutorial works for both of them. And last but not least, if you are completely new with Autopilot, please see before this Autopilot basic tutorial. Link in the description. I probably lost half of you during this prerequisite moment, but don't worry, this tutorial will be well explained so anyone can watch it. Let's start the video. Today we want to focus on this big panel just above the MFD that contains all of the autopilot functionalities we will use for this tutorial. Let's first give a heading to our plane, turning the HDG knob, and you would see your selected heading moving on the MFD. For now, let's just keep our current heading. To do that, just click in the middle of the HDG button and it will center the selected heading to our current heading. Now let's enable our heading by clicking the button below the knob, then press AP on the right of the autopilot panel to turn on the whole autopilot system. Please note the selected heading is now appearing in pink, telling us it's active. We can also take a look at the FMA, validating we are in heading mode. Also note the redundancy of the selected heading on your PFD. From that configuration, we can steer the aircraft left and right just by moving the HDG knob. Let's take a heading of 320 for today, and the plane will automatically turn to that direction and maintain it. Now that our plane has a heading, let's give him an altitude. The altitude knob is on the right of the autopilot panel and is divided in two parts. The big knob increments by 1,000 feet, and the small knob increments by 100 feet. You can read the selected altitude on top of the altimeter indicator. For today, we will target 17,000 feet. By clicking the ALT button below the knob, you might think your plane will start climbing. Unfortunately, it only maintained the present altitude. In order for your airplane to climb to your selected altitude, you need to give him a rate of climb by pressing the VS button, then applying a selected rate of climb. To apply a rate of climb, use the sliding knob on the left of the autopilot panel. The selected rate of climb can be read on top of the variometer. In our case, we selected a rate of 1,000 feet per minute. Reading information from the FMA, you can see a VS in green and a ASEL in white. It means the plane will climb at the selected rate of climb until it reaches its selected altitude and would maintain it. Another smart way of climbing is using the FLC function. In this mode, the plane will only use its pitch to maintain a selected airspeed during climb, regardless of the thrust settings. In this example, our Pilatus is climbing at a selected speed of 140 knots. But even though the plane has auto throttle functionality, it's not enabled yet. Once again, please understand the FLC function only impacts the pitch of the aircraft, not the thrust. The current airspeed is 140 knots. This speed has been calculated by the onboard computer as the best airspeed for best rate of climb. Nevertheless, in some case, you might want to change that speed. To do that, focus on the auto throttle panel and move the big knob from FMS to manual. That way you can control the airspeed during climb using the small knob. You can monitor your change on top of the airspeed indicator. During your observation, you might have noticed a dashed line going up and down the MFD. This dashed line represents an estimation of where the plane should reach its target altitude. In our case, we will reach 17,000 feet around this area. It could be useful when flying a star without using the VNAV function. For example, if the air traffic controller wants you to cross this specific waypoint at XX thousand feet, you could modify your rate of descent using the VS function and align the dashed line on the specific waypoint. That way, you would know the aircraft will cross the waypoint at the altitude instructed by the ATC. To finish, this plane is equipped with auto throttle, meaning the thrust of your aircraft can be controlled by a dedicated system. Clicking the AT button will engage auto throttle. You can see immediate result in your N1 power. Increase or decrease the selected speed by turning the knob and monitor your change on top of the airspeed indicator. You can switch the big knob between FMS or manual. FMS is equivalent to managed, meaning the airspeed is defined by the onboard computer based on your flight plan. Manual is equivalent to selected, meaning the airspeed is defined by yourself. That concludes the part about selected functionalities. Now let's discover managed functionalities. You are flying your beautiful 9 million jet, and you would like to get back on track with your flight plan. You would want to click the nav button, but unfortunately, nothing happens. In fact, the nav function will only engage when crossing the route. In other words, we need to modify the heading of our aircraft to first join the route, then follow it. Watching from our navigation display, we can approximate a heading of 280 will get us back on track. Please note the FMA indication, HDG in green and NAV in white, meaning the plane will follow the current heading until it reaches the route so the nav function can engage. Let's fast forward until the interception. For this part, I would like you to focus your observation on both the FMA and the navigation display. First to kick in is the FMA switching from HDG to NAV. Second, our current leg switch from green to pink, telling us the autopilot will now follow the route. Now the plane will follow the flight plan until it reaches the end. That's all for the lateral navigation. Now let's dive into vertical navigation. Assuming you have a correct flight plan, you should find the TOD indication on your navigation display. This is your top of descent, and the beauty of technology made that your computer created a descent path for you. In order to activate the descent path, first decrease your selected altitude. In our case, the target altitude is 3,000 feet. Second, click the VNAV button. It will arm the system for descent. Verify the information on your FMA. You should see ALT in green, meaning the plane will keep its current altitude, and VNAV in white, meaning the plane will start descending when catching the descent path. Coming closer and closer to your TOD, you might see your descent path indicator popping. Fast forward, the blue triangle is now coming closer to the middle, meaning we are about to intercept the descent path. Please check on your FMA the change from ALT to V path. Note also the descent path triangle switched from blue to pink, meaning the autopilot is in charge of the descent. Approaching the runway, you might want to catch the ILS with your autopilot. Assuming your navigation source is correctly set, assuming your ILS frequency has been properly entered, and that your plane is in a correct heading and altitude, you might want to click the APR button. Check on the FMA. You might see a lock indication in white, telling us the plane will catch the localizer once on it. There we go. The autopilot switched from HDG to lock, and the plane is aligning with the runway. Same thing apply for the glide slope. A white GS has been added on your FMA when you clicked the APR button a couple of seconds ago. It means the plane will follow the glide slope once on it. Let's fast forward. We are about to catch the glide. There we go. ALT has switched to GS, telling us the plane is now descending. This concludes the Pilatus series, and I hope you had fun or headache viewing it. Please tell me in the comment section what should be the next plane on the list for a deep dive into flight management system and autopilot. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you liked it. Happy landing, Captain.